Like the fact that Ethan Klein is still willing to say that the movement has good intentions, like, to me, it goes to show that he's like the most mildest Zionist, if he is a Zionist person. Like, he is the most mild ever. Like, in Israel, he would be considered so left wing to the point where people would start mocking him because of how pro-Palestinian he is. Like this is like he's cucking himself out just to get blamed by Hassan for being the equivalent of a modern neo-Nazi. Like, there's just no winning. There's no winning when you're in Ethan's position, right? Because I promise you that a lot of Zionists, like actual unhinged settler mindset Zionists, would abhor Ethan Klein for his beliefs. Like, they would hate Ethan Klein for his beliefs because they think that he's betraying the Jewish people by having such pro-Palestinian sympathy, right? And to have a wife who's served in the IDF, who understands why they do these kinds of things, to cuck out so hard, right? Like, man, there's no winning.
And these people who are supposedly pro-Palestinian are they're quick to defend him, which not all of them, but a lot of them are, especially online leftists and Hassan and all these leftist Twitch freaks, because there's literally no reason to defend him or even rationalize, because it doesn't help anyone, right? It makes their movement look bad, and it promotes violence against random fucking Jewish walker buyers. You know what I mean? That's what Hassan always says. I just channeled that from him. You know what I mean? And you know, this is exactly what is the logical next step of where this type of dialogue has been moving. It is. It's what happens when Bad and Panada plays a game where he hunts Hila in a video game and kills her, right?
Like by the way, Hassan viewers have been flooding into my views. Like they've been they've been kind of unhinged. Okay? Like, yeah, I kind of people do be doing. People do be doing, okay? That's a sentiment I still don't fully understand. He seems to be fairly balanced, but he's vilified for his position by both sides, yeah. Yeah.
This is what happened when Noah Samson makes a video saying, protesting is not working. We know where they are. We know where the propagandists are. And we know, and we need to step it up. We know where they are, and we need to step it up. Protest isn't working, right?
Dude, you guys should just go into any one of my Hassan videos that's been up for a few days to the point where it has started picking up traction, because every single one of my videos eventually start picking up traction. Just go there and you'll understand what I'm talking about when there's just these people who are unhinged, either Hassan or Asmongold watchers. Like, I'm also being attacked on two fronts. Like, fuck it, right? Like, yeah.
This is what happens when, you know, Hassan refers to Jews as inbred, or he refers to all Zionists as
he also
Nazis.
Yes.
Well, now people think there's nothing you could do to a Nazi that would be out of pocket, right? Murder all Nazis, right? That's how evil they are. So when they say, oh, they're Nazis, this is giving permission.
Okay, so everything is on the table.
Everything's on the table. And that's what's insane to me. That's what, from the beginning, which seemed obvious to me, that nobody wants to grapple with, Sam Cedar looked me in my fucking face and told me I'm causing anti-Semitism. You know what I mean? And like, what world are we living in? Hassan has one of his Jewish tokens he keeps around, who he restored, who's like, I refuse to admit this was anti-Semitism. This was a reaction to Israel's apartheid. It's like, bro, it happened outside of a Jewish museum. 2 random people were killed. What the fuck do you need to know? Like, what more do you need to know? It's so pathetic, bro. And this is what I knew from the very beginning. Like you said, when we first had that conversation with this guy laughing about a bunch of innocent kids being raped and murdered by a terrorist group, and Hassan sitting there and being like, I don't know enough to say.
And this was before Israel even reacted.
That's it. That's the part, too, that you always have to consider. Is people say, oh, this is just because of what Israel's done. Then how do you explain October 8th? You know? How do you explain the middle of the night, October 7th, when Frogan's saying shit like, this is just revolution. This is what revolution looks like. You know, this is the natural progression of the type of language that all of these people are using.
It's really dangerous language.
And by the way, this is one event that's happened. And honestly, it seems likely that more is going to be happening. And it really depends on how people react to it, because a lot of people are, like they love to say, manufacturing consent. How far does this go? You know, who's a valid target exactly? And do we trust these people who are out there murdering people to make a distinction between Zionists and Jews? Do you think that they're making that calculation as they pull up to a Jewish museum and just unload on a young couple who just walked out of the building? And then not only to unload, but to fucking walk up to them and execute them as they beg for their life, fight for their life. You know what I mean? What are we doing, guys? What are we doing?
I've seen Hassan also say, like, I think maybe it was in relation to...
That situation does seem to be suboptimal. All right. Yeah. Like, I think sometimes it's easy to become detached from situations like this because you've been so used. You've been so used to the way that things are presented, I guess. But, you know, when you try to think about it, when you try to think about how it feels, you know, to be in one of these positions, like the Columbine shooting, right? To be in one of these positions, just kind of fucked.
When he was conflating what you said the Jewish history in the Middle East, and he was like, what Israeli history in the Middle East? He was doing it on purpose. And then he goes on to say Israel heritage is only apartheid, death and destruction, genocide. That's all they are. And that is so dangerous.
That's one half of it, right?
Saying that, to me, it's like, okay, I need to watch my back everywhere I go because I'm Israeli.
Dude, Jewish people are
like,
afraid
that is
in this
so
country.
dangerous to say that.
It's funny for people who are not Jewish to laugh in my fucking face. Like when I made a message that was like, just so you guys know, that could have been me and Hila, or basically any other Jewish couple that you know that just happens to be there. And Hassan's response is, leave it to Ethan to make this all about himself. Like, and that's an acceptable statement to make in the wake of a violent tragedy, a violent, hateful tragedy, right? To express that I don't feel safe. And by the way, I don't. Because the way that people talk about me and Hila being fucking terrorists, baby killers, propagandists, genociders, right? Everything bad that you could say, they say I'm as far as if you tell from the people who talk about me, I'm as bad as it gets. I'm not even like a little pro-Israel. I'm like a fucking, it's like I strangling babies with my own bare hands if I could.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the left. Like what happened to inclusion, to understanding different backgrounds and different cultures.
Bro, it's even
like
worse,
I did the
though.
army. You know how long ago it is now? It's almost 20 years ago that I did the army.
Yeah, because you were a kid.
I was
You're an
18
adult,
and
you're
I'm
grown
gonna
up now.
turn 38 this year.
Yeah.
When you, it was like more than, it's like even if you doubled the age in which Hila served in the IDF, it still wouldn't be her current age. That's how long ago it was, right? Like it's an entire lifetime ago. Yeah, I mean, fuck things like rehabilitation, I guess, right? Fuck it.
That was 20 years ago.
Like even if you think she was doing something wrong, even if you think so.
Of course I don't feel safe because of what you people are saying about me. Because of everything you guys are saying. And if somebody's convinced enough to go outside of this and kill 2 random people, why the fuck shouldn't somebody feel comfortable coming to my house and killing me and my fucking family? Am I crazy? Are you actually going to look me in the face and say I'm crazy for being afraid of that happening? Who would look me in the face and say that's not something I should worry about? You think this guy coming up to my house and killing me and Hila would feel any different? Do you think that the reaction online would be any different?
It's forced, yes.
No, I know what the reaction will look like.
So what are we working towards here? What exactly is the goal here?
That's the problem.
What is the goal of this movement exactly? Not the Free Palestine movement, which has a noble goal, but this online leftist, fucking violent, obsessed. And you look at the behavior, you look at the history of leftists calling for violence, which I showed in the content nuke. They do it openly on Twitch and without being punished. Mike from PA literally said, the only way to get to me is to give me until I'm bleeding from my mouth.
Right.
He said that on Twitch and he wasn't punished.
No punishment.
He was not punished. This fucking...
And what happens every time they're not punished? They double down.
And then guess what Mike said when these guys got killed? He says it was a psyop.
Yeah.
No, dude. It's because of the
up.
shit you're saying.
I have never seen Hassan apologize for anything. I've never seen him apologize for anything or take anything back or say, you know what, that was too far.
Never. Honestly,
That's
I can't find
irresponsible.
a single time he's done that.
Because he never gets punished, so he just doubles down, triples down.
Dude, guys, she looks fine. What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck? Why?
Quadruples down.
Same with all of his, you know, and his orbiters who have something to prove are even worse. Like Mike literally said, Ethan will never learn till he's bleeding from his mouth.
Yeah.
And there was no punishment for that. And then a week later, 2 random Jewish passerbyers outside the Jewish Museum are murdered in cold blood. And his reaction.
Like that's a classic trad wife look, dude. Yeah.
Is it's a psyop.
I can't believe people are calling it that. I see false flag too.
Hassan suggested it too. I've got it all here. By the way, some ordinary gamer, Mutahar,
Jesus,
said,
Jesus.
I found that statement dumb. What you were saying was similar to if a Muslim had said they feel unsafe after the Christchurch shooting. Who the fuck would tell them, stop trying to be a victim?
Well, you know what? Sometimes.
Thank you, Mutahar, for the comment.
Thank you. Sometimes
Made it. Thank you, Mutahar.
Older Jewish Israeli people, they'll say Jews are not allowed to cry, which that's what this is about. They don't. You're not allowed to say your problems, talk about your problems. Well, people don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I see this.
It's where this statement comes from.
There's this Goebbels Nazi propaganda line that I start to see all the time. That's like the Jew hits you and cries out in pain. Like that's, you know.
So it's like when you're talking about
that's Nazi shit.
What a way to make it about yourself. Or like they're always
that's Nazi
something.
shit.
Yeah.
He's doing that. He's doing that. The Jew hits you and cries out.
Jews are not allowed to cry. So
like
that statement
the
is.
Blatant, violent anti-Semitism that is oozing off these people. If you can't see it, then we're basically just going, I mean, where are we going?
It feels like where it was during the war and the Holocaust. It's reminiscent of that time.
It's crazy to see.
Well, because
you can see how it happened. I've always said, like, I have no idea how the Holocaust could happen. It just makes no sense. And now I see it. I see how it happened.
It's not that there's like so much wanton violence against Jews happening, although there is an insane rise in hate crime against Jews in America and around the world. It's the consent, it's the ease, it's the comfortability that people have with violence against them.
Dehumanizing
language, being platformed to mainstream,
and
being platformed by New York Times,
exactly.
by the CEO of Twitch saying this is his favorite creator.
Yeah, seeing it on all levels.
The people are comfortable with the idea, and as people get more comfortable, guess what's going to happen? Watch this. By the way, Hassan just erased his entire Discord.
Yeah, I saw people say that that's something they do kind
To be fair, he does it all the time. Like, that's just something he just does.
of regularly.
He's done it a few times, but now it's a pretty funny time.
Why?
He let's see. He tells his chat who.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, he tells his chat, by the way, who when he's reading the shooter's manifesto, he put his chat.
Cannonball, why are you being so mean? What the fuck, dude? Like in a segment where they're literally talking about how it's so easy to dehumanize Jews. Like, somebody in my chat is like dehumanizing a Jew. What the fuck? Dude, chill.
In emoji only mode.
Jesus.
And even then, by the way, they were able to express support for the shooter. And by the way, Hassan managed to do more to support this shooter's dignity than me. It was only after I confronted him that he put it in chat emoji mode.
Chatter, are you crazy? Chatter goes, yo, use this as your blast off meme. No, I'm not gonna do that, okay? Missed therapy appointment, so now I have to pay extra, and we're here. What is this? You about to be arrested? For what? Having a...
He's definitely... No, Cannonball has been a long-time viewer, which is why I'm not banning him. He just seems kind of unhinged.
Fucking fat cock. Don't think that's illegal. You about... True. All right. Osama bin Laden blast off. Can you get through the news before 3 p.m. when I see the new Mission Impossible streamer, man? No. Should I use Tyrese Halliban? Should I do that?
Huh? What is he talking about?
I don't... No, dude, I can't... Yeah, I'm not gonna use this, dude. Y'all are so stupid. Give me... Okay, guys, this is not like... This is not a time to be fucking... it's not a time for you to say fun, wild, edgy things, okay? There are probably 1,000 people in the chat currently documenting every single thing that you guys are saying in an effort to basically tie it back to me. And
notice it's not don't do this because it's
not
wrong.
because it's wrong.
It's don't do it so that we don't look bad.
So we don't
so
get
we
caught.
don't look like
Right. And that is the issue here. The issue is never about morality. The issue is I don't want to be held accountable.
we are.
So
You don't see who we actually are.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, the Discord's not public facing, although I think anyone can join it. But there's a reason they erased that. They just nuked the whole fucking thing.
this community and rob it of its context or anything like that.
Oh yeah, the context, sure.
And to try to get me fucking deplatformed. Like lock in, stop
Lock
fed
in.
posting.
Stop
it's not
fed
time for
posting.
me.
Lock in.
Just because you're anonymous doesn't
Lock
mean you will stay
in.
anonymous. All this stuff. Okay.
Hold the terrorist sympathies
Lock
until after
in.
the show is over. Thank you.
What?
We got a lot of eyes on us, so
Why?
Literally mob shit. Hey guys, keep it. Don't spend the money for a couple years.
yeah.
They're gonna track the cash.
I didn't even know what
Lock
Fed
in.
posting until I saw this stuff, and then I like people explained that it's like
Lock
kind
in.
of like you're incriminating everybody.
Our guest is here. I have
why?
more clips to show. Is he? I can just
Lock
talk to him and then
in.
we'll finish when we're
Yeah.
done with him. But yeah, I have a really interesting guest. Let's bring him on. His name is once again Ahmed Fuad Al Khatib, and I'll have him tell you about his background. But he's a peace activist, a Palestinian peace activist, someone who I've been following for a while with great admiration, because he, kind of like me, all this guy does. There he is. I'll let him speak for himself. Hello, Ahmed. How are you? Thanks for calling.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Hello.
I'm very grateful for the perspective that you've brought to this from the very beginning, because I think I'm like you. I'm someone who's in favor of peace, who's in favor of Palestinian
What is this game? It's Darkest Dungeon 2.
liberation, who hates Hamas, right? But also doesn't think that like it's a good idea to erase it. The genocidal language that they deploy, that the co-signing the violence that you're seeing now, and it's like anyone who's isn't black and white just gets absolutely, annihilated in the court of public opinion these days. Has that been your experience?
Absolutely, man. As someone from Gaza, someone who's lost family members, someone who has actual war injuries from having grown up in the Gaza Strip, the fact that I'm able to, and people talk about nuance, but no one actually walks the talk. No one actually understands what nuance means. No one wants to hold multiple truths. No one wants to talk about the fact that you can be pro the Palestinian people's just and urgent aspirations, while also rejecting an Islamist death cult that has been a complete disaster for the Palestinian people, far more than it has been a deadly menace for the Israelis. Yes, of course, it has been for Israelis in the 1990s during the Oslo process, in the 2000s with the Second Intifada, certainly with the rockets when they took over, and then October 7th. But I would argue that Hamas has been a far more menacing threat to the very existence and welfare of the Palestinian people. And trying to hold those multiple truths immediately erases my heritage, my pride of my Palestinian background. I'm a spy, I'm a Zionist, I'm a traitor, I'm a sellout, I'm a bootlicker, I'm all of those things. And I've appreciated the fact that you...
Dude, whenever I see a bunch of flags and I know that it's my own globalist, okay, my own globalist, neoliberal, all right, kin, okay? He's about to spit. Okay, we'll see.
Among other allies across
These people do
both
be
the Jewish
spitting.
community and non-Jewish community have really been seeking to bolster those of us who are trying our best to be pragmatic, be moderates, be reasonable, be about our people's rights without promoting terrorism, which is very sexy nowadays among some in the circles, which is despicable.
One thing that after October 7th that really shook me, was completely unexpected, was the outward support for Hamas, like immediately after. Because like I always had this understanding, like, oh, everybody knows they're like evil and they're bad guys and they're terrorists, right? But then after October 7th, I had my co-host Hassan Piker. I came on here to be like, dude, isn't this crazy? And he's unable to say a bad thing about them. The audience is in full. It seems to be in full support of Hamas, and I didn't even consider that a possibility. I was like a completely reality shattering for me when I saw that, and it's continued since then. It's really something.
It's actually so depressing. Like if I were to pause and kind of think about it, isn't it just like so depressing? Oh my God. Jesus. It's just so unhinged.
Thing, you know.
Is that a
Well,
cat?
you just hit on basically why I decided to put myself forth. I worked
Oh my
in
God,
for an
cat.
international philanthropic organization and research organization